Okay, I'm back, and if you're watching this video, I guess it's obvious that I'm back out on the Ninja with the camera on the bike, or on the helmet. And as I indicated in one of my videos a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to get out on the bike and record a video of a ride up to and through the Wildwoods. So I'm coming on to the very end of the Garden State Parkway at the very southern end of Route 9. I was on this road a couple of weeks ago when I made a video of riding into Cape May. This time I'm not going to go over into Cape May. Obviously I'm going to get off and take a ride on Ocean Drive. Now there's a couple of ways that you can drive to the Wildwoods from North Cape May, where I live. You could take the Garden State Parkway north to exit 4, about 4 miles up the parkway, and take Rio Grande Avenue, which is Route 47, over into Wildwood, and that will bring you right into the heart of Wildwood. Instead, I've decided I'm going to take a ride over Ocean Drive. It's a little more scenic, and it will take me through Wildwood Crest. When you talk about the Wildwoods, plural, it's generally 4 communities. It's Wildwood Crest, West Wildwood, Wildwood, and North Wildwood. Each of those are separate legal communities, legal jurisdictions, and the entire length of the island from Wildwood Crest up to North Wildwood is about 5 miles. So now I'm on Ocean Drive. I just got onto the very southern tip of Ocean Drive. Ocean Drive runs about 50 miles in length, and if you wanted to, you could take Ocean Drive from the southern tip right at the edge of Cape May all the way up to north of Atlantic City. And as it passes through various communities, its name changes to a local street name as you're passing through the community. I think technically Ocean Drive was the name given to the road when it was connected by the federal government sometime decades ago, where they built bridges to connect each of the barrier islands. So they built a bridge to go from Cape Island over into the Wildwoods, and then when you get to be at the north end of the Wildwoods, you go over another bridge which takes you into Stone Harbor, up through Avalon. Then you go over another bridge and it takes you up into Sea Isle and so forth. So it's the entire length is referred to as Ocean Drive. There's not much here. This is sort of the marshlands. It's pretty scenic. I mean, I like it. It's a couple of marinas here. So I can just miss an accident, which is good for me, I guess. This restaurant up on my left is called Secondo's, or Secondo, and it is the same ownership as Panico's in West Cape May, which I pointed out in my ride through West Cape May. And coming over this bridge, this is a bridge that has no toll going in this direction, but there is a toll coming back. off to the left is 2 Mile Crabs, which is a pretty good restaurant. Now this is still Lower Township. We have not yet entered Wildwood Crest. Wildwood Crest is the southernmost community on this particular barrier island. Wildwood Crest is one of several communities along here that is a dry town, meaning you cannot buy liquor in the town. There's 2 Mile, the entrance to 2 Mile Landing. This is still not Wildwood Crest. Diamond Beach is to my right. I'm not totally familiar with exactly the geographic boundaries of all these communities. You know, I may err from time to time. This says the Crest Tavern right there, but I don't think this is technically within the Crest. In fact, I'm almost positive it's not, because they sell liquor there. And the way I always tell that I've crossed into Wildwood Crest is the street signs turn yellow. You can see this is still a green street sign. So I think this is still considered Lower Township. Now you see Newark Avenue there. You see these street signs have turned yellow, so we are now in Wildwood Crest. And also Ocean Drive has turned into Pacific, which is the name for the local street as it makes its way through Wildwood Crest and Wildwood and up through North Wildwood. I could stay on Pacific all the way up to North Wildwood, but I think what I'll do is when I get to the end of Wildwood Crest, I intend to turn right and go down 1 block and then proceed up through Wildwood on Atlantic. As you go through town on Pacific, it's, well, both Pacific and Atlantic are commercial zones, as opposed to here where you can see it's all residential. But I think that there's more to see on Atlantic than there is on Pacific. You can get a better view of the boardwalk and some of the piers. As I said, the entire length of this is 5 miles of this island. And you can get a feel for its relative proximity to Cape May. It's easy to bring your kids or your grandkids over here for you know, visiting the rides on the boardwalk. Kids get a kick out of that. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago when my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids were down for a week, we always set aside one day to come over to the boardwalk and another day to come over to one of the water parks off the boardwalk. And speaking of the boardwalk, I have to say that relative to COVID, I sort of had mixed feelings as I went to the boardwalk, because in terms of the boardwalk itself, it was not very comforting insofar as people wearing masks and social distancing. In fact, I would say 75% of the people were not wearing masks, and there was virtually no social distancing. However, if you made your way onto one of the piers where all the rides are for the kids, the owners of those piers, which I think is the Morey family, they did an outstanding job of creating a very safe environment. To get onto the pier, when you leave the boardwalk and walk onto the pier, they had gates set up so you could not enter onto the pier without being masked up. So everybody had to have a mask to get onto the pier. And then once you're on the pier, before you could get on a ride, you had to have your hands sanitized. And then on each ride, every other seat was kept vacant to create social distancing on the rides. And after each ride, there was a couple of minute wait because the operators of the rides would sanitize the entire ride, every seat, while you waited. And they would wipe down the seats and the handrails and everything before they would let the next group of kids on the ride. You can see that's the municipal building for Wildwood Crest right there. So, and then at the end, when you exited the ride, the kids all had to sanitize their hands again. So you had a situation where to get on the pier itself, you had to have a mask. To get on the ride, you had to have your hands sanitized by one of the operators. Every other seat on the ride was empty to create social distancing, and they sanitized all the seats after every ride. And when you exited the ride, before you could exit, you had to have your hands sanitized again. So they did a really, in my view, a marvelous job of creating a very safe environment for people once you got onto the piers. This was Crest. I should have turned there. This is the end of Wildwood Crest. We're now in Wildwood. One of the things that's distinctive about Wildwood and Wildwood Crest is the, in fact, I'll turn here, maybe get down and see some of this. They have a very unique type of architecture for some of their hotels, and it's called doo-wop. And I know that reminds me of a style of music of the 50s, but it's also a style of architecture for some of the hotels here that were built back in the 50s. And it's a very distinctive style, and you know it when you see it. And it's sort of like a space age type of look, and very distinctive colors. So I'm on Atlantic now. And I'm going to go through Wildwood on Atlantic. So you'll know these hotels when you see them. They are, you know, you really can't mistake them. Here's one, the Starlux off to my right. And you can see the very distinctive lines and distinctive colors of that hotel. And that is, you know, what is referred to as a doo-wop style of architecture. This is Rio Grande Avenue here. If I made a left on this road, this would take me right out to the Garden State Parkway. And this is sort of bringing you into the heart of Wildwood. Convention Center is down to my right. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. I think it's the 26th, I think, August 26th. So, you know, it's prime time for vacation, but not as crowded as it would otherwise be, which I'm sure is due to the effects of COVID. I think COVID has hit this community, as it has all communities, with a couple of the large gatherings that Wildwood would host. One of them would be something called Roar to the Shore, in which there are thousands of motorcycles that congregate in Wildwood for a weekend, and that event was canceled. Sort of like a miniature Sturgis or a miniature Daytona Bike Week, but still, you know, several hundreds, if not thousands, of motorcycles. They also have what's called a senior week here, which is familiar to probably anybody that's watching this video, where graduates from high schools in the Philadelphia metropolitan area up through New Jersey come down here the week of their graduation, and I think pretty much take over the town, and that was canceled this year as well. They also have a weekend event for St. Patrick's Day, and that was also canceled. This pier to my right is Mariners Pier. This is the pier that we took our kids to. I'll see, I should have looked down earlier, but I'll see if I can still get a view of it. There's a pier. You can see the large Ferris wheel, and up to my right you'll see the water park and the water slides. You don't see any rides moving. At least I don't see any. Here you see the Stardust, which is another doo-wop style. Here's the Schellinger's restaurant. And I'm just coming up one block off of Atlantic to get a little closer to the boardwalk and to the beach. Wildwood is a community over the past several decades that has sort of gone through various stages of evolution, in my opinion. It's sort of like, in a very sort of minor way, similar to the kind of metamorphosis that Las Vegas has gone through, where it periodically tries to market itself to families, but then it becomes sort of a more wild town. Wildwood, right now, I would say, is a very nice family-oriented community. It's a nice place to bring your family for vacation. I think it's very safe, and you know, the people on the boardwalk are respectful and nice. But there were times, and going back many years, where it sort of became, I don't know, not the nicest environment for families. But it went through stages, and to the credit of the elected officials here, they brought it back, and it's to me it's a very very nice community to bring your family for a week's vacation. You know, they have an unbelievably large beach, really large beach, and the beaches are free. They don't require beach tags, unlike Cape May and some other Jersey Shore communities. The rides are great for kids. And the population of visitors here are largely now families, and you know, it's you know, a pretty nice environment, I think. This is the Montego Bay Hotel here on the left, distinctive by its color. I'm not going to record as I go back to Cape May from here. I just wanted to take a ride up through Wildwood and through the Crest and up into North Wildwood. And I think I'm in North Wildwood right now, but as I said before, I'm not really sure where these communities start and end. And there's been a significant amount of beach replenishment work done in North Wildwood. There's a YouTube channel that I like to watch. It's called Wildwood Video Archives, and it's run by, or at least, you know, the on-air guy is a guy by the name of Joey Contino, and he does a nice job, and I enjoy watching his videos. And if you're interested, he has a video in which he documents some of the progress on the beach replenishment work done in North Wildwood. So I'm sure this is, by now I'm in North Wildwood. And somewhere North Wildwood sort of becomes Anglesey, or it's referred to as Anglesey. Similar to when I was riding around in a community that I said was, on my video, was Town Bank. There's a neighborhood within Town Bank called Cape May Beach, and I'm sure that I rode through Cape May Beach on my ride, but I didn't know exactly where it began and where it ended, and I'm not sure if Anglesey is separate and apart from North Wildwood, but this is, up here is the 2nd Street beach, where they've done a lot of beach replenishment, and straight ahead is the Hereford Inlet. My wife and I come here sometimes and sit in that pavilion in the off season, just get a cup of coffee and sit and look out. You can see the beach here. It's pretty crowded. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I can see it. I didn't ride through West Wildwood on this ride. It's over by the back bay more so than by the ocean, and I wanted to stay clear of the back bay and spend my time riding through the part of town that I thought would be more interesting to see from a tourist standpoint, which would be where the boardwalk is and the marinas and the pier. And you can see that, I don't know if you can see that sign on that flag. It says Anglesey Beach, North Wildwood. So that sort of makes me think that Anglesey is a part of North Wildwood. Continuing to record here because I want to at least capture on this ride